Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we only have 4 problems of homework to do for this week. These 2 are review of standard form, and then if you're watching this video early, I'm going to pre-teach to you guys how we're going to do word problems for linear equations. Okay, so let's take a look. It says write the standard form of the equation of the line given through the given point with the given slope. Okay, if we're annotating here, I want us to circle that standard form. I want you to circle given point and given slope. When I hear the word point and I hear the word slope, I know that we're going to have to use some type of equation that we know.
Point slope.
Point slope. Okay. If I have a point and I have a slope, I need to go through the point slope equation. So labeling our parts, first of all, what is my x1 going to be? Is it going to be 1, or 1, 2, or 7? What's my x1 going to be? 1. My y1 is going to be 2. And what's my m? 7. Because m also stands for slope. Now we're going to substitute our values into the point slope formula. Do we have to memorize this equation?
No.
Nope, it's going to be on your reference materials. Eric, what's the number that's going to go in the first blank? If I'm following my equation, it's y minus y1. What am I going to put in there? 1, 2, or 7? 2. Beautiful. Keep going. What's my m going to be? And what's my x1? Do we have to do any of the double negative things? Keep, change, any of that? Nope. So now we need to just distribute. When I distribute, what math operation am I using? Multiplication. So this becomes y minus 2 rather equals, what's 7 times x? Just 7x. Excellent. And what's positive 7 times negative 1? Positive 7 times negative 1, folks. Negative 7. I know I do parentheses. We need to solve for y by adding and subtracting. Now I need to get my equation in y equals mx plus b. How do I get rid of this negative 2? Excellent. Good, Cameron. What is its like term on the right side, the 7x or the negative 7? Excellent. What is this going to equal? Y equals 7x minus 5. Beautiful. This is in slope-intercept form. I want it in standard form. So I want it in my ax plus by equals c form. This is standard form. So that means I need to have my x's and my y's on the left side. How do I move that positive 7x? It's the inverse of positive 7. Negative 7. And make sure that you do the negative 7x. A lot of people are forgetting to add the x with it. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I need to do to the other. And I write it with the x's first. So this becomes negative 7x. What type of y? Plus or minus y? Plus y equals what type of 5? Negative 5. There are 2 things that my coefficient in front of x cannot be. My coefficient in front of x cannot be a negative number, and it cannot be a fraction. So how do I get rid of this negative in front? What does step 2 say? I have to make a positive by doing what? Changing the signs. Excellent. So this isn't going to be a negative 7x anymore. It's going to be a positive. But I have to change all of my signs for everything. So this isn't going to be positive y. This is going to be a negative y. This isn't going to be negative 5. This is going to be positive 5. What's my final answer? 7x minus y equals 5. same steps for this same one. I've got 3 comma negative 1 and slope of negative 1. My x1 is 3. My y1 is negative 1. My m is negative 1. So substituting in my values, Eric, help me out with this one again. What am I going to put in this first blank? If this is y minus y1, what's my y1?
Negative 1.
Beautiful. What's my m? Yes. What's my x1? Yes. Do I have any keep, change stuff?
Oh,
Yes. Look at that double negative right there. So this is y plus 1. Let's distribute this negative 1. What's negative 1 times x? Yes. Do you have to put the 1? Nope. What's negative 1 times negative 3? Positive 3. Yes, very good. There's one step that I have to do in order to get y by itself. If this is adding 1 on the left side, what is the inverse of adding 1? Subtracting 1. And it's like terms at the negative x or the positive 3? Positive 3. So this becomes y equals negative x plus 2. But that's my equation in slope-intercept form. Luckily, this one only has one step to convert into standard form. My first step always is to move the x. How do I move the x with the inverse operations that this one means? Say again, Kim? Add. This becomes x plus y equals 2. Is there anything else that I need to do? Is my coefficient in front of x positive? Is my x positive? Mm-hmm. Is my x in front, or my number in front of my x a fraction? Mm-mm. What's the invisible coefficient in front of this x? 1. Very good. So here's my answer. Now let's do the homework for in the future. I love teaching you guys this ahead of time. And I happened to be in Miss Rollo's class when they were doing similar questions to this. So there are real world linear equations as well. It says a student saves $15 per week towards the purchase of a guitar. Her grandmother gives her $50 to help her reach her goal. Which function can be used to find the amount of dollars the student has saved after X weeks? Okay, so we need to get an equation in y equals mx plus b form. What does our m stand for in our equations? What is m, our slope or our y-intercept? Slope. There's another word for slope. It's also called rate of what? Rate of change. Now, and I'll teach you guys this when we do this lesson on Thursday, but there are some key words that help you decide if this is slope or if this is your y-intercept. You're going to hear words like per or times. There's going to be words that help teach you how to look for what the slope is when you have a real world problem. B is not our slope, it's our what? Y-intercept. There's also another word for y-intercept. It's called your initial value. What's the synonym for initial? Starting or ending? Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, your y-intercept is just a single number that's not a rate. So if I said, I'm going to charge you $10 an hour for my algebra tutoring, that would be a rate. That's something that's going to continue on the longer we go to tutoring. If I said you need to give me just one time $1,000, just Omar, then that would be my y-intercept because that's a one-time deal. If it's a rate, it's ongoing. If it's an initial amount, it just happens once. So reading this over, it says a student saves $15, there's that special word, per week. So if I've got two numbers here, I've got 15 and I have 50, thinking about this very brief little introduction to what these two terms might be, is my $15 per week thinking like it's going to be my slope, my rate of change, or is it going to be my one-time initial value?
Rate of change.
Rate of change. So my $15 is going to be my slope, $15 per week. Her grandmother gives her, I wish that my grandmother gave me $50 to reach my goal. Does this happen one time or is this an ongoing thing? One time, so this is going to not be my slope, but my intercept. So hang with me here. We already skipped down to number 2. What's our M? 15, because M represents the slope. And what's my initial value? 50. But I have two different variables here. I have two things that I'm talking about. It says $15 per week. So if I were to graph this, what would be on my x-axis? Weeks or dollars? Time is always on your x-axis. So your x-axis would be weeks. That's the independent variable. That's what the scientist is controlling. I'm measuring a certain number of time. But what would be on my y-axis? What is the dependent variable then? Over a certain number of weeks, there's going to be a amount saved. So my independent variable, or my y value, is going to be the amount saved. In what? What do we measure amount saved in? We measure money in what? Yes, very good, Kim. And my dependent variable is time. What is the time measured in specifically here? What's the unit for time here? Weeks. Very good. So let's write our equation in y equals mx plus b form. Y equals blank x plus blank. What's my m?
15.
What's my b?
15.
What's my answer? B. I told you that f of x also equals y. Whenever you see f of x, that means y. Very good. So let's look at problem 2. And then we're going to have our homework done. Look at this. A taxi service charges passengers a flat fee. Does flat fee mean that it happens ongoing, or is it a one-time deal? One-time deal. So $2 flat fee. I already can recognize that this is not going to be my slope. This is going to be my y-intercept, which is what? M or B? B. That's our y-intercept. Or our starting value, or your initial value. Those are all going to be things that you guys hear. Plus 75 cents per mile. Underline that word per. Per mile means that this is going to be an ongoing what? Rate or starting value? Rate. And have you guys ever ridden in a taxi where as you guys continue to go, I know that you guys are all Ubering and lifting, but back in the old days when Masuko had to travel around in a covered wagon, they would have a little meter that the longer I was in my covered wagon, the more it cost me to be in the taxi. So that rate is my rate of change. So 75 cents per mile is going to be my what? Rate of, which is also known as, nope, other thing, slope. What variable is my slope, M or B? Nope. Yes. What's my independent variable? What is the scientist controlling? Or what is the person controlling? Is the the distance traveled? Yes, the miles. What are we measuring distance in? Miles. And then as the taxi travels a certain number of miles, what is going to be on the y-axis? They're going to charge you a what? Fee, cost. Excellent. What's my cost going to be measured in? dollars. Excellent, guys. This is the trickiest part. Identifying your independent and your dependent variables, that's what we're going to start with first. So my independent variable, what goes on my x-axis, is distance in miles. What's my dependent variable? My cost in dollars. So writing my equation in y equals mx plus b form, what's my m? Yeah. What's my b? 2. Now we normally use x and y. When we look at the answer choices here, what do you think t and n stand for? What do you think t stands for? Time. Or the distance, yeah. I know that we said it was distance, but time is going to be how long you're in there for. And then what do you think n is? Oh, it tells you. N is the number of what? Miles. And T is the total cost. T is total cost. Woo! And N is miles. So, what's my answer going to be? If we wrote our equation, 0.75x plus 2. G. Why is it G and why is it not J? What did they confuse in J? And they said that the 2 was my what? If it has my variable, was that my slope or was that my y-intercept? No. If I have my variable with my number, what does that mean? Is that my slope or my y-intercept? Slope. J is the most picky answer after G. Oh, we're done with our homework. Isn't that nice?